Welcome to Johns Hopkins.
Thank you.
Delaney.
Thank you.
First off, Johns Hopkins kind of has a special relationship with the Big Ten, being only a member for lacrosse. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's a unique relationship, really. We've never had a sports affiliate member before, but for a number of reasons, we thought it was worthwhile breaking precedent and establishing that kind of relationship with Hopkins. First and foremost, we probably wouldn't do it if we hadn't moved into a second region of the country with Rutgers and Maryland and Penn State for a long time. We knew how important lacrosse is in this area of the country. We know how important it is to Maryland and to a lesser extent, but still so with Rutgers. We knew that Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State had established programs on the men's and women's side, and Northwestern had a lot of success. So once we came here, we realized that in this state it's important, and it's important to Maryland. So we started thinking about how can we enhance lacrosse for the Big Ten, how can we enhance lacrosse for our new members. And Kevin Anderson and I talked about it. While they're great rivals, Maryland has great respect for Hopkins, and so we approached Hopkins and with the idea, and they were receptive. We talked about it. We talked about how it might work and how they would be able to maintain a lot of their traditions, but we might have a possibility of creating a new tradition. And so from that, the men were added as a affiliate, sports affiliate. President Daniels and Tom and Dave, others were involved in those conversations as they were in the Big Ten with the presidents and athletic directors. At the time, we had talked about the men's and the women's program, but the women were otherwise involved with another conference, and so they said, well, let us think about it, and it will be an independent decision on their part as well as our part. So we put it off to the side. We thought the first year went exceptionally well for our men's programs overall. Lots of national success, lots of visibility, and I think the women's program probably saw that and saw that there might be some opportunities there. So that won't happen until 16 and 17. For us, we have that automatic bid. We have the tournament format. We had 4 teams in the postseason last year, 3 on the men's side. We had teams represented in both the Final Fours. Maryland women won it, of course, and Denver won it on the men's side. I think the Big Ten Network had, between streaming and regular linear network and ESPN, we had over 75, total events for men and women, and I think we'll probably be in that same category again this year. So it's a growth sport. It's a sport that's important here. This area is important to us. So taken together, we think it's been a really, really good start.
Speaking of the Big Ten Network, last year at least there was kind of a game of the week that was on the Big Ten Network. Is there any plans to expand that or potentially move it from like the weekend maybe to like a weekday prime time to take advantage of kind of that those April dates where there's no more college basketball? Yeah,
I think the issue is a close call. We're really studying the impact of midweek games on students and on their travel, missed class time, etc. So I don't know exactly what the dates and the times for the games will be coming up, but we're very conscious of the effect that whether it's a soccer game or whether it's a baseball game or whether it's a lacrosse game, and the effect that the impact that a weekday game has, even if it's only once or twice, it still causes people to travel and miss classes. So I can't really tell you exactly what Silverman's plan is, but I can tell you that we're constantly talking to them about how to position these events in a way that's great for the teams, great for the athletes, great for the sport, but also great for the academic. And I know in the case of Hopkins, Maryland, and the rest of them, they're also equally concerned about television's impact on this class.
Speaking of midweek games, one concern that a lot of people have is that the pressure of kind of the conference schedule at the end of the season and the hesitancy of coaches then to schedule a midweek game in the run-up to a very important conference game on a Saturday, that's pushed the schedule. It seems to keep pushing it further and further into February, and so you end up with a lot of very cold dates.
Yeah.
Like where, on an April afternoon where it's nice, like today, the stadium would be full. In February, where it's freezing, it's not so full.
Well, the issue of scheduling, especially non-conference events, is really an institutional issue. and how people create that, what they think is best competitively, what they think is best academically, what they think is best in terms of preparation for the biggest games and events of the year. That's a local decision. We watch it, but we don't drive it. We have 43 different sports, 28 different championships, and probably close to 4,000 to 5,000 total events. So exactly the when and the why and the how of it is more subject to their control and influence than it is mine as we talk here today.
There's a popular, the Big Ten ACC Challenge in basketball.
Yeah.
Has there been any discussions of potentially a similar kind of setup in lacrosse?
We've thought a lot about it, about how you build a relationship, how you build a sport, how you build a presence nationally, and we're always open to those things. We have an ACC Big Ten men's and women's challenge. Okay, we also have a Gavitt Tip-Off Classic. We have a Rose Bowl that goes back to the middle 1940s. We've been playing the SEC and New Year's Day for over 25 years. So we would be open to any and all of that in terms of ideas for building the sport and building brands. And I don't know whether it's the best teams in the East against the Big Ten or whether it's an ACC Big Ten sort of event, but we're always receptive and open to that. But as you just mentioned, there are lots of games you can play and not always lots of great times to play them, and you have to get everybody together. But that kind of competition, I think, is unique and it's fun for the athlete, and it can be mutually beneficial to those who are playing.
This is another one I know is probably a little bit more of a local decision, but do you think the adoption of lacrosse by the Big Ten makes the expansion of it in some of the other more Western schools? Does that make it more likely?
It probably does make it more likely, but again, that, as you noted, that's a local issue. A lot of it has to do with how much growth is there in the youth and club and high school, and then what are the offerings at a particular institution at a particular time. The reality is that the cost of sponsoring sports are not going down, whether it's cost of education grants or whether it's the travel associated with it. And so if you did something for the men, you'd have a requirement to do something for the women. And it has, it's always been well established here. It has grown in the Midwest. I wouldn't be surprised to see it added at some place at some times, but I'm not familiar with anything that's imminent.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Appreciate it.